We are Maria
and Nicole. We're two secular homeschooling moms that have
been there, done that. Creating a unique and personalized high school experience for each of our teenagers has been one of the coolest things about homeschooling. Adding extracurricular and volunteer hours isn't only fun, it helps create a well-rounded student and makes them stand out on high school transcripts and job interviews. Today on episode 40, we're going to be talking about all the benefits and unique opportunities waiting for your teen.
And as usual, we want to stress that our podcast is an inclusive space for your everyday parents that are looking for education options. We are not here to convince you to homeschool. We want to stress that you need to do what works for your child and for your family.
Every family's different.
Absolutely. And you know your children best. So feel free to take what advice or information you get from here that works for you and chuck the rest.
Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Maria. How are you today?
I am refreshed. I had a beautiful weekend at my brother's lake house.
I had a beautiful weekend at my brother's lake house. Well, brother-in-law, but same.
Yeah, my brother and his wife. It was amazing. It's on Lake Granbury here in North Texas, and oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Oh, fun. Yeah, my brother-in-law and his new wife, I have sparkly new sister-in-law, they have a lake house on Houston County Lake, which is down in Crockett, Texas.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. You would never have a reason to be there. It's a spring-fed lake. And it's not super deep, so there's not a lot of boats allowed on it, like motorboats. And so it's very serene. It's beautiful. You can do boats in part of it. We did wakeboarding and stuff in front of his house. There's
nice.
So
and I know you
peaceful.
loved to paddleboard. Did you paddleboard? Or?
I did not. Yeah. I have there before, but we
Nice.
just chilled out a lot. What did you guys do?
Well, we did boat. Cameron worked on the boat with my brother. They replaced the prop from a 3-prop to a 4-prop.
Oh.
I don't know. They just bought this property. It's gorgeous, but they have to build some retaining walls and do some work. They're talking about putting in an infinity pool.
Oh, wow.
And a pickleball court.
Oh, my goodness. Then you'll just move there, probably.
I know. They did give me an open invitation. I'm like, oh, okay.
I know, ours did too. They were like, we don't use it as much as we would like to. They're like, please come stay here. It would be nice if people checked in on the place from
I will go there
time to time.
I will come over there and I will
like,
clean
sure.
it. Well, and there's a lot of spiders. They come and they'll pressure wash the back deck. The next weekend they come and there's spider webs everywhere.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It
was very spidery here too.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's nice to go to somebody else's house, even though you're doing the same work, making the same meals, everything like that, just in somebody else's house. But there's something just peaceful about a little vacation home.
There's something beautiful about just looking at the water. And I thought, okay, so we homeschool. We have a flexible schedule. Maybe we'll just head there during the week sometime and take my laptop. I can do some work and my son can do some work on his computer. So I'm like, hey, I might take them up on that.
I know. I was drinking my coffee out on the dock one morning and a fisherman's just out there, and because it's kind of a narrow passage where there's all these tree roots and stuff, so he's right up next to the dock. You can't avoid talking to him. I was like, hey, catching much?
I'm not wearing a bra, sir. Please go away.
Exactly. So I had to go in and change, and my husband was like, what were you doing out there with that guy? He's like, did you go get all dressed up? I'm like, no, I just literally was not wearing a bra. Face-to-face conversation because the boat is that close to the dock.
That's awesome.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I'm sure you all would like to hear about our lake house vacations all day, but let's start talking about our episode today. It's really a fun one. And, if your student is college bound, you've probably spent a lot of time agonizing over putting together a transcript of robust classes and grades so that you can really showcase the rigor and variety of education experience your child's been busy with. But that's not the only thing that colleges and universities are interested in.
No, not at all. They are wanting to see well-rounded applicants who participate in a wide variety of activities and are active members in their community. So you probably should consider encouraging your student to participate in more than just the required core and elective classes. There are all kinds of ways to build that total college package that will make your student a super desirable candidate. Volunteering and participating in a variety of extracurricular not only helps build good character, but they build good transcripts too.
Exactly. Admissions officers are often looking for students who understand how to build into a community because this can help build good college culture. Colleges like to know that homeschool high schoolers are not just sitting at home doing nothing, but they know how to contribute to the world around them.
Right. But remember, there's only one absolute must in all of this, and that is to follow your state homeschool law. There are plenty of kids that get into college that were homeschooled without all of this extra, but it definitely is going to help you stand out. And it's also important to check the college requirements of where you're interested and put those into your plan. But beyond that, everything is going to be your choice.
And even if your child is not college bound, participating in extracurriculars and community service is still an excellent way to figure out their future path and to contribute to society. So don't discount this important step of their educational journey.
Yeah, it's really going to help create memories that these homeschool graduates can talk about. And interviews often start with, tell me about yourself. Mm-hmm. And your new graduate that may not be college bound will have plenty to talk about through all these experiences.
Exactly. And there's somewhat many more reasons to participate in these activities too. For one, skill development.
Yeah, these opportunities are going to help your teenager develop a wide range of skills beyond what is taught in the classroom. These activities can help enhance their leadership skills, their teamwork skills, all their communication and time management skills. It also helps them hone in on those critical thinking and problem solving skills. Lots of experiences are going to help that.
Right. And like we just said, on college applications, participating in extracurricular activities and volunteer work can significantly strengthen your college apps. Admission officers often look for well-rounded applicants who have demonstrated their commitment and passion outside of academics. Yeah. And your involvement in such activities can make you stand out from other applicants and just showcase your dedication and your outside interests.
All these opportunities are great for personal growth and self-discovery. Your high schooler can explore all their interests, their passions, and their talents. These things are going to allow them to develop a sense of identity and purpose. These experiences can also help build their confidence. I remember when my daughter was the lead navigator in a 10-day backpacking trip in high school. It was her junior year. She used a compass and a map, and she led dozens of other students through the Arizona mountains. She came back from that so empowered and so confident. It really doesn't matter what kind of extracurricular activities that your kids choose to do. There are so many options, and each one is going to help them to develop that resilience and be really more adaptable. These are so important qualities for success in life in general.
Right. Another great benefit is networking. Participating in extracurricular activities and volunteering can help you expand your social network. You'll meet people with similar interests. You're going to make new friends, connect with mentors who can help provide guidance and support. And networking is valuable not only during high school, but also in college and beyond. And these connections can lead to future opportunities.
Oh, for sure.
One great thing, too, is getting involved in this kind of stuff is that's sometimes where you can get those reference letters that you also need for part of your college application process.
Right. We talked about that in our high school documents episode. Those are so important, especially when you're homeschooled and it's just mom. So
right.
You really
this
do
brings in like
out.
An outside other adult, sometimes in an education field.
Right. And we've always made volunteering a big part of our homeschool. Even when my kids were little and they were still in their car seat, they helped deliver Meals on Wheels together. We did that. We walked up to the house and people were always excited to see the young children.
Love them.
Volunteering work allows your kids to give back to the community and make a positive impact on other people's lives. Volunteering cultivates empathy and compassion, and it also gives you a sense of social responsibility. My kids and I volunteered for years at an Alzheimer and Dementia Center, working directly with the residents. They prepared their snacks and they played board games together. They read to them. And I love how this exposed them to different social issues. And these kinds of experiences really help our kids to understand the world beyond their immediate surroundings.
Yeah, I totally love that. Another benefit is exploration of interests and passions. Extracurricular activities provide a platform to really explore and pursue your passions. Whether it's joining a sports team, participating in a debate club, or engaging in artistic endeavors, these activities are going to allow you to discover what you truly enjoy and what you might want to pursue further in the future.
And high school can be academically demanding and stressful. And when our kids are involved in these kind of activities and volunteering in our community, it can provide a much needed break and serve as a healthy outlet for relieving their stress. and it can create a balance between academics and other aspects of life, and it gives them an overall sense of well-being.
And remember, it's important to choose activities that genuinely interest you and align with your values. You don't need to be just like checking things off a box. Quality matters more than quantity, so focus on a few activities that you are genuinely passionate about and then commit to them wholeheartedly.
Right. And a lot of people always ask, so how many volunteer hours should my high schooler have? And this number is going to vary with different high schoolers depending on their personal goals and how much time they have available. While there's no specific requirement, a lot of people like to aim between 50 and 200 volunteer hours. Anything beyond that is going to really be overkill.
Right.
A general guide is to aim for maybe 10 to 15 hours per month during the school year and as much as possible over the summer if you have time. Remember, there's no specific number, but it's a good idea to shoot for enough time to gain valuable experiences and make a positive impact.
Here are a few factors to consider. Personal interest. Engage in volunteer activities that align with your interests and passions. Choose causes or organizations that resonate with you and where you believe you can really contribute meaningfully. When you're genuinely interested in the work that you're doing, you're more likely to commit and enjoy the experience.
And you want to consider your academic workload and your other extracurricular commitments and other responsibilities when determining the number of volunteer hours you can realistically dedicate. Is your student trying to work and save up for a car? And that may be 20 hours a week that they're working, and that really cuts into their free time for volunteering. It's important to strike a balance with all those commitments while maintaining their academic performance and not overstress all the time.
Right, like don't overschedule, which is something that homeschoolers tend to do while trying to be social.
Right.
You know, we've talked about that before. Some schools, scholarships, and programs may have specific requirements or recommendations for volunteer hours. There are some schools that say you need to come in with this many. So it's advisable to check with a college admissions office to see if there's any guidelines to follow. However, keep in mind that the quality of your volunteer experiences is generally more important than the sheer number of hours.
And rather than focusing solely on the number of hours, consider the consistency and the longevity of your volunteer commitment. If you demonstrate long-term dedication to a cause or organization, it can be more impactful than the sporadic involvement. It shows commitment, responsibility, and it just an overall deeper understanding of the cause that you're supporting.
Right. Ultimately, the whole goal of volunteering is to make a positive impact and gain valuable experiences. So it's more important to focus on the quality of your volunteer work rather than getting caught up in meeting a specific hour quota.
Right. Yeah. I know a lot of people like to hit like that 170 for some reason. That's kind of a
really?
magic number for a lot of people. And we did a lot just because that was part of what we were doing. But
right.
I don't think it made much of a difference at that level.
I know. I never set like a number goal or anything like that. Like you guys we're kind of always doing things like that. And so
Right.
it just tends to add up.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
So just a reminder that this is a weekly episode. We drop one every Thursday morning just for you. And if you have any additional ideas or comments, please come and comment on our Facebook page, on the episode thread, or send us an email at info@btdthomeschool.com. We'd really love to hear from you. So another question that we get pretty often is, should extracurricular activities go on the transcript?
That's a great question. And while you definitely want to include extracurricular activities with your application materials, the transcript is typically not the place for it. You want to keep academic achievements and coursework as essential components of a transcript, while extracurricular activities highlight their involvement, skills achieved, and interests beyond the classroom.
Right. And those activities go on a resume or on a second page, or often there is a space on the school application or like in the Common app where you can list all of this information.
Yeah, we did that.
Yeah, and including this information can give colleges, universities, and future employers a well-rounded view of your abilities, dedication, and character.
Right. And when listing extracurricular activities on your resume or in your application documentation, you might want to consider providing the following details for each activity. You're going to clearly state the name of the extracurricular activity. You're going to specify the period during which they participated. You're going to indicate any leadership positions or significant responsibilities that they held within that activity, and also briefly describe the nature of whatever they're doing or their involvement. Highlight any notable achievements, awards, or any recognition that they received.
Remember, the goal is to provide a well-rounded picture of your high school experience. So focus on including activities that demonstrate your skills and passions. Examples of extracurricular activities that you may want to include are sports, clubs, community service, volunteering, music or arts-related activities, leadership positions, etc., etc. We're going to get way into that in our next section.
And all of these are going to help you stand out and showcase your holistic development and your commitment beyond academics. And after you finish listening to this episode, be sure to visit our website. We're going to write up all of the show notes and have links to everything that we're talking about, so it's just really easy for you to access and reference. Every week, I like to create free resources that complement that episode, so be sure to sign up to our newsletter so you don't miss any of that exclusive content. If you're on Facebook or Instagram, we would love it if you went out there and gave us a thumbs up or even comment on the episode thread. So a lot of people want to know if hobbies count as extracurricular subjects.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So while hobbies may not typically fall under the traditional definition of extracurricular activities, they can still provide valuable insights into your interests, skills, and personal development. And especially if your hobbies are particularly relevant to your field of study or demonstrate important qualities, it may be worth considering including them.
Well, that's true. Maybe they align with their academic interest or showcase skills that are transferable or applicable to their desired path. Mm-hmm. Have their hobbies had a significant impact on their personal growth or their character development and maybe their community involvement? If their hobbies have led to noteworthy achievements or contributions, they can and should be mentioned. My daughter is a gearhead or car enthusiast, and she worked on her own car for hundreds of hours during high school. She took the engine apart more than once and put it back together. She replaced the entire suspension system, and she did so many other upgrades to her car and to friends' cars. And this was not an extracurricular class, but this hobby that she's so passionate about definitely was worthy of mention during the application process, especially since she was applying to the engineering school at her university. And now she's designing and building a brand new car with her college race team.
That's so awesome.
Next semester, she's already working on it.
That's so cool. It's essential to maintain a balance and a focus on including activities that provide the most comprehensive and compelling representation of your abilities, interests, and accomplishments. Many people worry about extracurriculars because maybe they have a kid who's not particularly sporty or artsy or crafty or, into anything in particular. That's okay. There's so many different avenues for extracurriculars, and there's very few rules about what actually counts. It's your homeschool. You get to decide what's important and worthy. So what are some ideas of extracurriculars?
Well, there's, of course, sports comes to mind for many people whenever you think about extracurricular. And just because your student is homeschooled doesn't mean that they don't have opportunities for team or even individual sports. While in some places, homeschool kids can participate in local school teams, in other areas, support groups have formed homeschool teams in basketball, soccer, volleyball, baseball, track and field, swimming, tennis, and more. I mean, there's so many teams that have been formed through homeschool groups.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
a big thing here in Dallas.
There are also independent teams like rec teams and club level in many communities that offer some of these same services. Yeah, some of those homeschool sport teams are very competitive.
I know. We talked in another episode that, we have that Tim Tebow law that got passed here in Texas. That
Not a fan.
It was very controversial amongst homeschoolers and everybody. I'm surprised it passed because nobody seemed to like it, but that was one of the things that I did not know ahead of time was that some of these homeschool sports leagues are so strong on their own, great things that they didn't want that because they had put all this time and energy into creating these awesome spaces that recruiters were getting kids out of. So it was awesome. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Martial arts and dance are great to include here too. You have kids who've done martial arts extensively.
Yeah, both my kids have black belts in Taekwondo.
Right, and I've mentioned my kids are all competitive Irish dancers. It's kind of a niche sport, but that plays a huge part in our college documentation as it's a sport that's allowed us to travel, and there's been a lot of educational and community service opportunities, especially because one of our dance schools was a nonprofit. So tons and tons of community service hours and things came through that between, doing performances all year long and educational camps and things like that. So it was a great opportunity for us.
Yeah, and you put in so many of your own personal volunteer hours into your Irish dancers.
I know. Can I make that it look like a job on a resume?
You can. You can, actually. I put my resume together, and I have a lot of the things I put together. I've created curriculum for my children, and that goes well.
It is a full-time job.
Yeah, it really is. So kudos to all of you out there doing this.
Doing it.
There's also personal interest groups like Dungeons and Dragons or board game clubs, programming clubs, engineering clubs. My son was a member of the Texas Robot Combat Club for a few years, and he built combat robots. He designed them. He designed them in a CAD program. He 3D printed it, and he created a chassis. He mounted the servo, and he did all the programming for the remote and the weaponry. And he actually won a couple of really cool competitions. So there's a lot of opportunities in our communities for this stuff.
So many. There's also government groups or speech and debate kind of groups. Our children have participated in groups like Model UN and Youth in Government. Model United Nations is an educational simulation activity in which the students role play as delegates to the United Nations, and they simulate UN committees or other international bodies. And Model UN aims to provide participants with an understanding of international relations, diplomacy, and the workings of the UN.
During a Model UN conference, students represent different countries or entities and engage in debates and discussions on global issues. They research their assigned country's policies. The last year we did it, we represented Italy, and they prepare position papers and engage in negotiations with other delegates to find solutions to complex problems. Participants must articulate their country's position, negotiate with other delegates, and draft resolutions that address the issues being discussed. My daughter's resolution had to do with water desalinization, and yay, her resolution passed.
I love it. They get all excited when they do. We love Model UN, and our friend Sarah has guided us through that for years and years. We love her. In a youth and government program, participants take on roles as legislators, judges, lobbyists, journalists, and executive branch officials. They simulate the functions of government bodies, such as the state legislature, the judiciary or executive branch, and they work together to propose, debate, and enact legislation, make judicial decisions, or carry out executive functions.
Yeah, that program aims to provide young people with firsthand experience in how government operates, and it really helps to foster that deeper understanding of democracy, civic engagement, and public policy.
Right. Participants gain insights into the legislative process. They develop critical thinking and public speaking skills. They learn about policy issues, and they engage in a lot of debate and negotiation. These also gave my kids student council experience, which obviously they weren't going to do in our, tiny homeschool of 3 at home. But they actually went on to use this in college. My son was on his university student council and his particular college, his liberal arts college student council as well. I've mentioned before that he actually was Speaker of the House, which was a paid stipend position. So all of those years of doing Robert's Rules of Order and parliamentary procedure translated into an actual paid gig for him. So
that's so cool. I love that he did that. Didn't you just recently, your daughter just went to Austin, to our state capital, and she was with her youth and government group.
Yeah, Jillian, they qualified for state, so they went, and she actually got to do her bill at the desk of a lady who was doing the actual real version of the bill.
Right. And this is at 14 years old.
Yeah. It was awesome. Cool. And my older daughter even just is on her Pan-Hellenic leadership group for her sorority. And she just went to Indianapolis on a paid trip to attend a big conference on leadership. So all of this stuff works and comes out later.
It's so cool. There's so many great opportunities for these kids. And then you can also participate in academic competitions, like there's mathletes. There's also a lot of science fairs and opportunities that include junior achievement, math and spelling bees. There's Odyssey of the Mind competitions or speech and debate tournaments. And these can challenge and showcase a student's knowledge and the skills in a specific subject.
Right. I was on my high school's Scholastic Bowl team, and that's kind of like national, I think it's called National Quiz Bowl in other places. But, we do our trivia nights on Wednesday, and the name of our team is the National Quiz Bowl Champions. And I always joke that I can then put that on Jillian's transcript, that she's part of the National Quiz Bowl Champions team. We've won twice.
Oh,
yeah.
That's right. Wow.
Yeah. So,
Very
I
impressed.
wouldn't be lying.
National Quiz Bowl champions. High school students can also form 4-H clubs in your homeschool group. There's a lot of them up here in North Texas that have been formed. Your children can raise livestock, they can collect insects, decorate cakes, learn woodworking. There are literally hundreds of projects for children to try within the 4-H organization. They can compete at the county fair with their annual projects. Parents are closely involved with the whole process, and leadership is carefully taught as each club is run by the children using the Robert's Rules of Order. Only children vote in these meetings.
See, there's our Robert's Rules again. But we did a ton with 4-H when my kids were younger. At a recent homeschool expo, I met the guy that runs the Lone Texas 4-H Center. There's only one in all of Texas.
Really?
Only one 4-H center. Yeah, in Georgia we had several, and they were, oh my gosh, they were awesome. They were totally worth the trip. I've considered actually taking a group from Texas to Georgia to do one of these camps, because 4-H is an awesome organization. They'll often do group events for a very small group, like a minimum of 10 people. That's like 3 homeschool families.
Wow. And then there's also scouting, and that can be a great source of leadership training. Merit badges include excellent units of study and mastery to add to your curriculum. An Eagle Scout for Boy Scouts is an amazing accomplishment, and Girl Scouts have the Gold Award, which is a prestigious honor that recognizes exceptional leadership, project management, and commitment to making a sustainable and positive impact in their community.
Yeah, the Gold Award's similar to the Eagle Scout rank, and it requires them to complete a series of requirements, including identifying a community issue, developing a project plan, gaining necessary approvals, implementing the project, and then measuring its impact. And it also involves demonstrating leadership skills and engaging community members and dedicating a significant amount of time and effort to the project.
Right. And the Boy Scouts of America also offers venturing scouting. And this is a great option for teenagers that have really never been involved in scouts. It's a co-ed program for young men and women age 14 to 20. It focuses on adventure, leadership, and personal development through activities like outdoor adventures, community service, skill building. It's a really great program.
Yeah, we've both had kids involved in that. They also offer Sea Scouts. This is also another kind of venturing type group that emphasizes nautical skills and water-based activities. And it's also for age 14 to 20. And they learn about sailing and boating and water safety while fostering leadership and teamwork. We had our venturing crew was going to live on a sailboat for 10 days
in the Bahamas.
Which,
oh my gosh.
Best chaperone gig ever, I'll let you know. The local Sea Scouts group had us out to White Rock Lake, and they trained us on sailboats, which was awesome. There's several other scouting organizations out there. I don't know which ones continue through high school. You know, these are just the ones that we've had kids involved in.
Right. If your teenager enjoys the thought of helping others or wearing a uniform and flying airplanes, then the Civil Air Patrol Cadet Program might be a good fit for them. This is an auxiliary organization of the U.S. Air Force. Cadets learn aeronautics, aviation, military drills, marching, survival skills, and first aid skills. Uniforms, gear, and equipment are all included at no additional charge with this program, and cadets are promoted on their own merits through testing and achievement.
Yeah, I did this in high school. It's been around for a long time, and went on to do an aviation program.
You're a pilot, right?
I am a licensed pilot. I was also part of an emergency services department. I was a ham radio operator. I guess I still am, not was. So I had this volunteer gig where I actually carried a pager. I went out on calls. I would do things like communicate with 911 and direct traffic. And it was an arm of our county sheriff's department. So you can check and see if your city has a similar program. I know I've seen things through fire department and police department here in our area that offer volunteer opportunities for kids who are maybe interested in this as a future career.
Oh, that's a fun high school extracurricular. Nicole.
It was. I got in trouble, though, for having a pager. Got a 3-day suspension when my pager went off during a weather event.
In school?
Yeah, it was in my locker. Isn't that wild? And then I had to explain. I eventually got it lifted, but
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
your student may also enjoy being part of a theater production or orchestra.
Right. Yeah. My son is a musician, and he took lessons and performed with School of Rock for years. And he's since moved on to classical guitar, but it was a really good stepping stone for him to be in front of an audience and learn stage performance.
Right. My kids also did Irish fiddle, and they were with the North Texas Irish music session groups for years and years.
Yeah. We've made many friends that were involved in theater, and mine had no interest in participating in theater. But that all changed when COVID happened. Everything was shut down and all of our regular activities were abandoned. And like everybody else, we went through a very lonely time. And we still have PTSD from that.
A little bit.
So when some good friends asked if we wanted to try theater, I did convince my kids to give it a go. And my oldest didn't really enjoy it. I mean, she went through the motions and met some really good people. But that's when she really started to get into cars.
Yeah.
And then my youngest, however, fell completely in love with musical theater. And now he won't do any plays that are not musicals. He's only into music and all the musicals. And he's actually involved in 2 performances going on right now.
I love it. He really has like blossomed in the theater. It's been neat to see because that never would have been anything that we thought he would be interested in like several years ago.
Yeah, he would not have. Yeah, he loves it. He's dancing and singing and he's in a collegiate show right now. I hope you get to come next week.
I know. I'm hoping to get to see it. It's really crazy that these kids will put a show together after like doing a summer intensive for like 2 weeks. It's wild. We went to one last week too. Also, in case you're jotting down some of these ideas, don't worry about it. Our freebie this week is going to be a list of all kinds of different extracurricular activities and volunteering options. So take a look at that later and we'll have it all laid out for you.
Yeah, I'll create a PDF you can easily download or check off or take a look. I'll organize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son really wants to pursue music and he loves jazz and classical music. So he performs weekly on an open mic night here in North Texas. And he also started to teach guitar to younger students. And pursuing music is all new to me. So I'm trying to figure out the best way to get him into the music school that he wants to be in, giving him all these opportunities along the way. He's also in the middle of forming a jazz band with some of his friends, and he's looking for a bass player, by the way.
Yeah, so if you have one, send them our way. You can also check your local recreation center catalog for a variety of classes. Like those are often really great places to find super cheap beginning music lessons, beginning dance lessons, variety of things. You can also find like fitness groups like CrossFit or a weightlifting class for teens.
Yeah, we did one of those for my son. I love them.
Yeah.
And many homeschool students form book discussion groups, and book selection can be made by the students with parental input. This gives the students a chance to learn more about give and take or a Socratic discussion type platform, public speaking, and how to defend their position in a non-threatening atmosphere.
Yeah, I love book clubs, and I still love these as a grown-up. You know, often it forces you to maybe read something out of your favorite genre, like gets you out of the box and makes you read something that you end up loving that you never would have picked up on your own.
Right. I usually love when friends suggest something that I would have never picked up. I just actually read a book recently. A friend texted me out of the blue, and I loved it. I have to tell you about it.
Awesome. I'd love to hear about it.
There are also many ways that teens can become involved in serving their community, like in hospital volunteer work or helping at an animal shelter, visiting a nursing home, doing yard work for an elderly neighbor, reading to neighborhood children. Really, there's so many things.
Oh, there's so many. We're going to have them on our list. Also, working on a political campaign. We canvassed for a very popular Senate election a few years ago. My son was really into this candidate. You might remember that he dragged me all over town.
He also dressed up as him for Halloween.
He did. It was so funny. So we were very involved in that process. And kids as young as 15 can be poll officials in our county election office. I am a poll official and work for our election office. My daughter cannot wait to get to do this with me, and my judge cannot wait to have her also, since by far I'm the youngest person on my election team. But during the 2020 presidential election, the most experienced clerk at my location was actually a young man in his 20s who had started working there in high school as a teen.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was really funny. Also, journalism and publications. Students can create or join you can make your own like homeschool newspaper, maybe one with your homeschool group, join a yearbook committee. Several of our homeschool groups do yearbooks, or a literary magazine where they can develop their writing, editing, and design skills.
Could also start a blog.
Yeah.
Lots of ideas there.
Leadership.
Or a podcast. Leadership programs such as Junior ROTC, National Honor Society, or leadership clubs can really provide opportunities to develop those leadership skills and contribute to your community.
Absolutely. Entrepreneurship or business clubs. Students can participate in clubs that focus on developing entrepreneurial skills, organizing business competitions, or engaging in fundraising activities.
Activities abound, but don't overlook the unique opportunity you have to involve your teens in your adult life. Do you own a business? Train them to be your assistant. Are you a craftsman? Take on an apprentice. Our lovely podcast jingle was written and recorded by my lovely 16-year-old apprentice.
He's so awesome. We've also talked about things like the historic farm near us and their blacksmithing apprentice program. All of our kids really wanted to do that so bad.
Riley said this kind of inspired her to work on cars, being a blacksmith. She's like, why do you think I work out there in the heat?
That's so funny. We also...
Oh, we have come on in here, Cameron. We have a little visitor today. Say hi.
We were just talking about him. Cameron, do you remember when you were young and you wanted to be a blacksmith?
Yeah, I do.
All homeschool boys want to be blacksmiths.
I'm going to pause. Okay, pushing record again because he needed me to help him find his phone.
I know, that was technically our first guest on our show.
Okay, well, he's driving now, so he's driving himself somewhere, which is new to me. This is an interesting new part of my life.
Yes.
So, okay, moving along, students can seek internships or part-time jobs in fields related to their interests or career goals, gaining practical experience and skills, like I talked about my son teaching guitar lessons.
Right, and we have a lot of friends, kids who are maybe interested in animal sciences that go work at a veterinary office, or they might go work on a farm, working with horses and things like that. It seems to be a very popular homeschool activity. But so hopefully, if you aren't already encouraging your child to explore extracurriculars and community service, we gave you some ideas of where to start. There are all kinds of activities and experiences, and these really stay with you your entire life and have so many benefits all around.
Absolutely. So tune in next week to episode 41, Finding Confidence to Homeschool Your Children.
Yes, this has come up over and over again in my homeschool groups recently as people pull their kids out of school and get ready to start. And I know it can be really scary, so we're looking forward to recording this episode to help new families that are feeling uncertain.
Right. We're going to help listeners with this one. We'll be answering some frequently asked questions, how to know when to start homeschooling, how to teach subjects you don't know, and how to build up confidence when you're a new homeschooler.
We're going to be discussing all of this and more.
See you next time.
See ya.
Cheers. Be sure to check us out on our website at btdthomeschool.com, as in been there, done that, btdthomeschool.com. You can join our mailing list and get news and updates on future podcasts, and be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok at the BTDT Been There Done That Homeschool Podcast.